Howdy guys and girls, welcome to Harpers Shed. My name's Tim. Today we're working on a new project. So, as I said, we've got a new project in the shed today. This is a Series 4 1986, I believe, Mazda RX7. She's been sitting a while. I brought it off a good mate of mine, and it's in need of love. It's definitely a project. So let me take you for a bit of a walk around, and we'll have a bit of a look at what we got going on. So you sort of see she's a little bit pulled apart. There's a few bits and pieces missing. We have 100 and... I don't know if you can read it, but there's 180,000 Ks on the clock, so she's done a few. Interior's definitely seen better days, but a little bit of elbow grease and definitely some new components. It'll come up alright. She is a factory, well, it was a factory automatic, but has been converted to manual, and it is a factory sunroof and factory AC, and it also has the adjustable sports suspension in it. We do have some cancer in the car, unfortunately. We've got a little bit down here. Both guards are the same. They're sort of bolted, but not. But definitely some rust showing. Not really the end of the world. I would say probably the worst rust in the car is up in top of the roof cover here, the sunroof steel. It's yeah, it's not all the way through, but not great. She's a bit dusty. In the boot, I did a little bit of sorting out already, and I've got all the interior panels that need, well, clean, replaced, repaired in the back, because that's the most out of the way spot at the moment. But I suppose one of the exciting bits is up under here. There we go. So that is the Mazda 13B rotary. Now, this vehicle originally come with the NA variant, so 6-port 13B, naturally aspirated, obviously. Previous owner put a turbo off the turbo variant, but he put it onto the high compression 6-port. So yeah, should make for a fun little package when we get it up and running. Now, part of the reason, if not the entire reason it doesn't run, is located in about that area. So we got some wiring to do. He was in the process of putting up a Microtech NT8 computer, which from all reports is not a bad unit to run in one of these if you're chasing modest power. But could never quite get the thing to work. So he got a bit tired of the project, and I brought it. So here we are. There is a little bit more rust on this side. So we've got a similar situation down there, which is not as bad as the other side, but it exists. And then if we come to the rear wheel arch, we've got some, yeah, she's in need of some love there as well. And then the only other patch, which so I'm told is very common, has started to come in around here. So these are the rear vents from the drain, so that the water runs down here. Rear water vents, they drop down into there and then flow out of the car. Well, they block up. Water pools in this area, sits and rusts it out. So that's a little bit of an issue, but really nothing major. Passenger side of the car, much the same. Pretty dirty. Well, just okay, do that. That's fine. Pretty dirty. Mostly broken. And these components are available. They're not overly cheap, but they're available. So I do have the door trims and bits and pieces. The back seat, if you sort of really want to call it that. I mean, I'm not overly tall, but you'd want to be little to get in there and find that comfy. So, but it's there. That's the main thing. And that was one of the big selling factors for me with the car, was that it was mostly complete, in boxes, but complete. So we'll come over and I'll show you some of the bits that were in the car. He just loaded it up with boxes basically. I mean, there was quite a few boxes of parts and things that had come off the car previously, and also another project car he had, just in an effort to help me out to get this one running. So what I've done is tried to sort through it. So the first box I went to was the wiring, just curious as to what is there and what isn't, and I pulled out that was right on top. Now that is an engine harness, and it scared me just a little bit, but as I kept digging through the box of parts, we've got 2 spare factory ECUs. I don't believe either of them are the turbo variants, but at least we've got them. Then I kept digging through the box, and luckily we actually have an entire engine harness in good condition, already still wrapped. Most of the plugs seem alright. I mean, we've definitely got a few, crimp connectors and things, but I haven't found any Scotch locks on this one, unlike the other one. So it doesn't scare me anywhere near as much. So yeah, that's about where we're up to. All I've done is strip some gear out of the car, try and take a little bit of stock of what we've got. I suppose I'm just going to move on from there. Plans for the car, obviously a full rebuild, get the engine running, and I mean, long-term goal is I'm going to do it up and try and sell it, make a profit on it. Why not? Everyone likes to make a bit of money, but I just want to have some fun with it. I've never owned a roadie before, I've never driven one, I don't think I've ever even sat in one, so that's going to be an exercise. Yeah, a lot of work, a lot of fun, so let's get into it. Alright, I'm keen as beans, let's get into it. I think we're going to remove some of this. I can't look at that for much longer. It's going to make me feel better. Yep. Definitely better already. There you go. So we're just going to try at the moment to get the the micro-torque harness out. I don't really think it's going to run in this condition. What all this is, it's been put onto, added onto, and then removed quite a few. What are you doing all the way back up there? Quite a few times. So I think the best course of action, I do have the wiring harness for the MTA computer, and I've also downloaded the full manual. Pretty handy, they keep all their older documentation online still. So I was able to just go straight onto the Microtech site and download it. Handy that way. Where's the rest of you going? I think we've got some. Alright. We've got some cheeky earths. Very cheeky earths. They're hiding. That's not supposed to pull out like that. one section at a time. Maybe. Maybe not. On and we'll get the custom, full custom, maybe. Get out of there. Me personally, I'm not much of a fan of putting aftermarket, any ECU for that matter really, in the engine bay. They see a lot of extra heat, weather, you know, rain, hail, shine, all that jazz, and generally speaking they're not overly sealed. Depends what you get obviously, but they're much better mounted if we can get them up in the interior, behind the glove box, something along those lines, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Stick you out of the way. Okay, you can see our ground that he's ran or spliced into possibly. Yeah, just gonna snip you, I think. Probably should have a look. We'll see what's behind there. Runs. Looks like runs along here. Back up again. Plugs. Now, I suppose I probably should mention early on that I have little to no experience working on a rotary. Cars in general, sure, but all the little fun, you know, little nuances that come with working on rotaries, or that I've been told come with working on rotaries, are stuff that we're definitely going to learn together. Because, yeah. What I found is the internet, Googling, and YouTube in itself will only get you so far. Eventually there's a point where you are just going to have to start pulling stuff off and figuring it out. Now I've got a lot to figure out here. There's a lot of plugs off and things that I don't know. So, but I suppose that's the fun of it. Make it work a bit more. I'll come back when I've got all this out. Hopefully cleaned up a little bit. And keep going. time's been spent, progress has been had. As you saw in the time lapse, we got in there, we got some gear out, we removed intercooler, upper intake manifold, that had to come off so I could get access to the injector plugs, and that was obviously wired into the Microtech, so injector plugs off, traced the Microtech harness out, and got all that from out of there. That's the factory fuse blocks. Fuse block sits down yonder. I mean, cut bits and ordinary bits, but overall really not that bad. So as I said before, this engine that's in here is the factory high compression 6-port 13B, and then what I was told, a factory Series 4 turbo was put on with the manifold, and that is actually a 4-port manifold, not a 6-port. So I'm not sure if I'm going to port that out to match the engine, or if I'm going to try and retain or try and adapt the 6-port manifold to work. I'm really not sure yet. This engine did have a set of, it was pulled down and rebuilt, so apex seals, side seals, all the water, O-rings and all that jazz, but has not run since the rebuild. Now that was due to the electrical things over here that were no good. I'm led to believe that the engine is fine, but having said that, we haven't ran it. Pretty keen to do a compression test, but we need to get it back in a state where I can crank it first. I did find a dipstick, hunted through, and it turns out that, come on, focus, we have oil, not that it's going to focus on it, but we do, just not a lot. So yeah, we'll be doing whatever oil's in there, we're going to drop, just because I don't know what it is and we don't really know how old it is. But this is what we're working with. So we've got a lot more room now, the radiator's out, airbox, all that essentials. I am going to get rid of the power steering pump just for the moment. I'm going to take it off out of the way, just to give me a bit more room around the engine. I've got lines here that I don't know where they belong just yet. That hanging there is the return line, the oil return line off the turbo. Normally there's an oil metering pump that bolts to there, I believe. That's not there. Now, I don't know if on the turbo 4-port variant that goes in, the oil drain is supposed to go in there or not. I don't think so, but could be wrong. I also have found a few lines, such as that one there, which is the oil return line from engine oil cooler, and it doesn't seem to want to fit anywhere, so that'll be fun. I did drop the timing unit back in, just so I could keep crap out of the engine bay, out of the internals of the engine. I'm also going to plug up just where the oil filler is and the intake ports, just so I don't drop any foreign objects down there, which is possible. So yeah, this is what we're working with at the moment, and I'm going to keep tearing into it, trying to line up a few things and see what's going on. I might pull the alternator off just for, again, a bit of access, so I can see what's going on and try and find what bolts or what plugs into what, and we can move from there. I mean, I've got things down here that I'm just not sure. Really not sure. I mean, having said, as I said previously, I haven't worked on a rotary before. I've never worked on an RX7 before, but yeah, no time like the present, and good way to learn, just jump in and have a crack. Alright, well, I might set the time lapse again, just so you don't have to listen to me waffle the whole time, and we'll get some more progress out. Welcome back. Yeah, a bit more done. A bit further apart than what I originally thought. I originally thought I'd have to take it to get it running, but anyway, this is what we find. I'd much rather pull it apart and find everything out than try and just sort of get it running as is. Alright, let me show you what we've come to. So, as you saw in the time lapse again, we pulled the alternator up off the top, so it used to live up, well, still lives, but not right now, up on top of the water pump housing. We pulled the power steering assembly off the side. It's out of the way, give us some good room. A couple of things I did find is this hose that I originally thought was for oil return from the oil cooler. Completely wrong. Definitely not it. It's actually for the aircon line, aircon system. So that goes into the back of the air conditioning compressor. Worry about that later. Will be used, but we've got a ways to go before we worry about that. Something that is a little bit troubling and annoying and does give me some questions. Oil drain line from the turbo. Originally I said that was for the oil metering pump, and which it is. And it almost looks like he was intending to put it back into there, which is probably a little bit, well, it's too high really. It's not down far enough for the turbo drain. Turbos like to drain as low, on as much angle into the sump as they can, so they don't overfill back into the journals. But yeah, so that doesn't go there. But let me show you what I did find in the box of parts. So, come across this one first, and it's off a turbo 13B, factory turbo. It's already got the oil return for the turbo in it, which is cool, much nicer, makes it easier. But holding it up against it, the pipe that's coming off the turbo now is the wrong direction. It's 90 degrees the other way. It's this way. So I kept digging. Found another front cover, which is good. Now this one already has a block-off plate. We'll probably end up remaking that, I'd say, just a little bit neater. And it's got factory turbo oil drain, what appears to be a factory turbo oil drain, in the right orientation for what we've got. So, that means I've got all the parts. Well, I've got parts that I can put together to do it. The issue I have is that basic research, I'm seeing that there's a bearing, a thrust bearing in behind the front pulley, and it says that if you remove the front pulley, that thrust bearing can fall down and can cause you issues when you put it back together. Now, I think I'm going to have to do a bit more investigation as to whether I can still reassemble all that nicely with the engine in a horizontal plane, or all the videos I've seen of them building them are all done vertically. So I think that's just a research thing. Now the other thing I've got to do is water for the turbo. So this is a turbo front cover, like water pump housing. I don't have the correct thermostat housing for it. I've got the factory non-turbo one. So what I do have in the box of parts is the original non-turbo front pump housing, water pump housing, and it's already had an attempt to put a fitting in there. Now obviously it didn't work. I'm going to clean that up and I'll just weld on I'll weld on a boss there that comes out so I can drill and tap, put a fitting in the right direction, and that will allow me to, if I can find it, to utilise the thermostat housing that I already have. So yeah, saves me parts, saves me money on parts, and I suppose that's where I'm up for now. I will need to do some research and find out how or where they normally dump the water back into the system for the turbo return, water turbo return, and also I can't quite figure out where he was trying to pull oil feed for the turbo. That's something like what I think he might have intending to do, but that needs to be more gooder than that. That's, yeah. So as I said, bit of research on my end, and I mean, I'm pretty happy with the progress. I'm contemplating pulling the engine, just to basically check things out, but we'll see. Hopefully it doesn't get that far. So, alright, well, that's going to leave it for today. Bring you back when I got more progress or something exciting happens. I don't know. Till next time. Bye.